Hello moms and dads, hope you are all doing well, and here we are in the second week of our 2022. This traditionally, I say traditionally, it was last year, was our most hectic COVID week where we really had to make sure that we were on top of everything, and it's because of that I am here just to do some couple of friendly reminders and remind you of what the procedures are for COVID related cases in the primary school. Now it is very important to remember that primary school have two different sections. We have the early years where they do not wear masks and are in bubbles, and we have the PYP sections, grades 1 through to 5, who do wear masks. And for both of those sections, there are two sets of different rules that apply for KHDA and from DHA. Please note, please put your minds at ease if that can be something that you can do during this time. We are not creating our own rules here. We have to follow DHA rules. And we do so because as soon as we send a name to them, they ask for standard documents. We cannot create random documents. They only read specific documents. You know how things can be. Certain things just have to be done in a certain way. So, let's just quickly take a COVID positive case. If a child is COVID positive in the early years section, in other words, pre-K, KG1, KG2, if they were at school, I have to do contact tracing 48 hours prior to that. If they started showing symptoms and have been in contact with the rest of the class, that class is immediately closed. All right. We've got dividers in the class. Yes, we keep the bubbles aside, but I don't think COVID knows that it can only go as high as 1.5 meters. It definitely moves around. All right. So as a precaution for everyone, that is when the class is closed down. So for example, if a child went home on Friday afternoon and they are in pre-K, KG1, KG2, that afternoon, that evening, they maybe started showing symptoms. You go and get a test Saturday morning, that test comes back Sunday as positive, you immediately let me know. I will most likely, and there comes the most likely part, because DHA will start asking me questions. Well, when did symptoms start showing? At what time of the day, etc. And based on that, they can advise me to close the class for 48 hours. I can decide that too. Every school has the right to close a class for 48 hours without getting permission from DHA or KHDA, so that they can do contact tracing, sanitize the class, etc., and then bring it back or make the final decision. So at this point in time, I feel like I'm going to whisper it because I don't want to jinx it. We only have classes who are not here with us in the KG, the early years department. All right? That's it for now. So, in the upper primary, in other words, grades 1 through to 5, where they do wear masks, if a child tests positive within that class, this is where we have to do contact tracing. At the point in time, based on last year and based on 4 cases that we've already had, we have put the people sitting on either side, and in some cases in front, they have been registered as close contacts, but the class has remained open. According to DHA, once a certain percentage within a class, within grades 1 to 5, that can sometimes be the 2 or 3 number, if 2 or 3 students within a time frame has tested positive in one class, then only does the class get shut down. All right? If we shut down the class without meeting those requirements, they do not regard them as being on distance learning. That's their rules. All right? Now, close contacts. Here comes the next part. Close contacts is anyone that you have been in contact with within the past 48 hours and you haven't been wearing a mask and you haven't been maintaining the social distance, etc. Most parents of ours have been really cautious with this, and in fact, the close contact numbers is the one that is the highest here in schools. Not just our school, in schools, because parents are being proactive with this. So thank you. But now, if someone in your household has tested positive and they have gone for a test, please I'm asking you, don't send the children to school that day while you, if it's mom or dad, for example, or the house nanny, for example, who's gone for a test, don't send the kids to school that day while you are awaiting the test result. Because if that person tests positive, you've immediately got to go and fetch your child from our class because they are a close contact. You've got to take them home. We as a school can then ask you, please, well, now that they were in school and they've been in the house with someone who's COVID positive, I would like to have a test to at least put my mind at ease that I don't need to do contact tracing, because we know, I know this sounds very long, that many of us probably have got COVID, but we're just showing no signs whatsoever. So, in a nutshell, if I can ask you for this, we can only move children to distance learning once we have a physical PCR test, either A, of the child who has tested positive, or if you are a close contact, they are a close contact, the positive test of that person who you are a close contact to. We then upload it onto the Dubai Health Authority sheet. Every school has a sheet that they have to upload every single day with stats. That goes through, they give us feedback as to what we need to do. I am currently, all schools have an assigned DHA person that looks over them, and if we have any questions where there are anomalies and maybe there's a gray area with the rules, we reach out to. I'm currently in a WhatsApp group that we've been added to this year, where there are 253 people. I've had to mute my phone at this point in time because it's buzzing, as every school is asking 101 questions, because sometimes there are just questions that you have that aren't directly answered in the documents. And so we get the answers quickly as soon as we possibly can. But I can tell you that all the schools are just trying to make sure that we stay safe. We know that this is the new way of life, as much as there might be people that don't agree with it or maybe don't think it is, but this is our reality. At this point, this is the way we are leading life. And we know that kiddies are going to be kids and adults are going to be adults, and there'll be those who follow the rules and those that don't follow the rules. And all I can say is that from a school's point of view, we operate on the basis of trust. I'm expecting you and requesting you to be true IB students and be principled. And if there's any doubt, stay at home. You will have seen KHDA put on their social media yesterday, are you tulip or are you rose? We have retweeted, reshared that. Ask yourself, are you a tulip or are you a rose? Hopefully you're all going with the tulip approach. Now, distance learning. We are not doing streaming sessions of classes and live lessons. That was last year because of the fact that close contacts, where most of our kids are, to a max you can lose 5 days of in school, because there will always be a weekend attached to whenever you've been notified that you are a close contact. Our approach, which we have found far more effective since the beginning of the year, where people are not worried about not seeing the teacher on screen, not able to hear where they are in the classroom as they're busy walking around teaching, but to have call-in sessions one-on-one, or if there are maybe 3 students at home that are close contacts, the class teacher calls them together to explain what is happening. Work will be posted on Toddle. We have been not only would we automatically do this, but we've also been asked, be mindful. We will help those students when they return to school. All right? So please, I know that you are stressing, but your stress isn't going to help the situation move on any quicker. It is what it is for all of us at this point in time. And all we are going to try and do is manage and make sure that we do our best to keep everyone safe. I know that there are some of you that are thinking maybe we should keep our children home for a few weeks. That is your personal decision. We cannot stand in the way of this. All I can go on is our experience of last year and what we've been experiencing since the beginning of this year. It has been that families who have chosen to maybe keep their children at home where they are not a close contact or they're not COVID positive, I will be honest, it's often been that they have got close contacts, become close contacts, or have tested positive from someone other than actually school related. Now, I'm not saying that's in all the cases, but I can confidently say it's in pretty much most of the cases that we have experienced here. I don't want to sound blasé about it and say it's just going to happen. But we need to have kids understand that we are here. The chances are high that it can happen, and we are here to support and help them through it. I don't want them growing up stressing and being nervous about it now. Obviously, every family has their own unique situation. You could have someone in the household that is ill. I get that. So I'm speaking here generally, all right? But I can say that as a school, we can only close a class in grades 1 to 5 when that certain number is reached for DHA and KHDA to say close. We can only close down a corridor like we did last year when we had X amount of students in the corridor who had tested positive, and we shut down for the 10 days in that. A section would be primary school and secondary school, right? That's a section for us. So I get worried when I get messages to say, we hear you've closed sections and here we are open, all right? So a section for us would be primary and secondary school, and obviously a grade, which is 10 to 1 is a corridor, because that's how we've got everyone zoned in. So all I'm asking you is just to, you know, as most of you are doing in any case, so I'll say it's preaching to the converted, use common sense. Let common sense prevail here. If a child or anyone in the household is displaying any symptom, do the test, all right? And keep the children at home until that test result has come in. Then once they've done close contact, they've done their time, their quarantine, as a close contact, they do not need a PCR test to return to school. They can come to school, pop in at the clinic, and then go to their class. If they have tested positive and they've done their 10 days, they wait for a de-isolation certificate, is what gets SMS to you now in most cases. I know there was a backlog for a while, but they seem to be catching up on that. Once you've received that, that gets emailed to all, you know, the clinic, the class teacher, Natasha, myself. Welcome to email 101 people. If you're only emailing one person, then you know you've missed someone, all right? Thank you again to all our parents who keep emailing over the weekend and keeping us updated. And whether it's at 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night or even midnight as results are coming through, the more people you put in an email, the chances are someone is going to be reading that. I know myself and Natasha and Tom and Andrea, we are always on emails at night. It doesn't mean we're replying to all your emails, just to say, especially when you're asking me, when's the cafeteria opening? And I don't know that answer. But when it's COVID related, those are the ones that we are scanning through. As soon as it's COVID related, those are the ones we are replying to over the weekend and in the evenings. So continue doing what you're all doing. But for those of you that just had a misunderstanding about sending children to school while you're waiting for a PCR test, etc., I hope this clarifies it for you all, and that you understand our approach to distance learning. Not just our approach, it's pretty much most of the schools where they've all switched to asynchronous teaching rather than synchronous teaching. Secondary school, again, different story, different age group, different abilities and scenarios, all right? So this information that I have shared with you is all primary school related. And if you don't believe me, you're welcome to check DHA's website and KHDA's website for all the necessary information. All right, take care, and as always, reach out virtually or pop by to have a chat outside when you see us on duty, and feel free to ask any questions. Fingers crossed, and let's hope that we can, for the next 2 weeks, that last year, the second and the third week were our stress weeks that we had, and let's see if that's going to happen again for us. And then at that point in time, everything just went back to a normal within this new normal, if you can understand. Stay safe, and if you have any questions, as I said, email. Thank you.